Okay? So consequences must be consistent and predictable. They should know what is going to happen if they break a rule. Okay, this is discussed with them. Parents should be aware of this, okay? So this should be clear and they should know exactly what is going to happen, okay? The kids know, okay? If you're in a bad mood one day and you yell at Johnny over here for tapping his pencil and you go make him, pay, we had Bentley bucks at my school because they were our positive behavior system. Go pay, $2 for doing that. The next day, you're happy, you had a great night's sleep, you had a fun dinner last night, and it's okay for today. Well, we just told him, hey, you can do that some days, but not other days, and he doesn't even know. So just being consistent, whether you are in a good mood, a bad mood, tired, not tired, whatever it is, and being consistent. I like what you had said earlier about being fair is not always about being equal. So kind of keep that in mind, and we're going to get into that too. Okay, consequences should be reasonable and fit the crime. Okay, talking about that paper ball and that chair. Okay, so different violations would cause different consequences. Okay, behavior should not affect a grade. No way should behavior be intertwined with that academic, so try to separate that. It's important to share your rules with students as well as parents, especially in elementary school. We want our parents to be aware if this rule is broken, this is our consequence. Okay, and if you could then take a look at page 7. This is a progressive list, and yours are in black and white, but here is a color one here. So the top would be the most severe, going down to, that gentle press. And if you look at level 2, we had a couple questions in the past about number 5, befuddle. So that would just mean kind of redirecting their attention somewhere else. So for instance, if they just got back in from recess, they, lost a kickball game and someone called them a name, something happened, they were in a great mood all day, they come back and just don't want to do anything, they're not in a good mood, even having them have a little job. Can you go deliver this black Sharpie to, Mrs. Smith down the hall? Can you, why don't you go outside, go get a quick drink and, come back, and kind of just change that thought process so that they're coming back in fresh. And there was a couple examples of teachers that actually used the black Sharpie. So if a kid came to you with a black Sharpie, that meant they needed a couple minutes or a small job to kind of get back to where they needed to be. I've also heard of a purple paper presser. I don't know. Someone had mentioned this. I think they were in middle school. Oh yeah, can you go get the purple paper presser from, Miss Dixon down the hall? They had no idea what that was, but you sent a kid, I'm here for a purple paper. Oh, okay. They knew exactly what that was. So within the teachers, there were signs and different ways of saying, hey, this kid needs a quick job, a quick timeout, just to kind of clear their head and get them back into, where they need to be. They had no idea, but this was your way of kind of helping them to, to settle back down.
So establish teacher codes.
Yes, yes. Okay. Is everyone okay with that one? All right. Okay, so being consistent. I'm going to give you guys a minute to read this on your own. Okay, I want you to think about the last 2 sentences, okay? Not mindlessly applying rules when the teacher feels like doing so, rather applying established rules and procedures that are understood by all. Okay, so going back to what you had said, the fair and equal. Okay, so take 2 minutes, we're gonna set the timer. You're gonna talk in your groups about specifically what those last 2 sentences mean to you. Okay, you may begin. A lot more conversation. It's more like they're almost there, and they've also been sitting for 3 hours. Mm-hmm. But, girl, I'm following this because wife is going to be watching that and he's going to want me to do what he did on here. So, yes, I agree. Sounds good. Okay, high five. All right, we're going to move on.
Okay, so Laura and I are going to just give you a few seconds without talking. We want you to take a look at this image. Okay, turn and talk to your shoulder partner and discuss. What did you say? All right, so to quote Miss Lily Haynes, gentle pressure. All right, so gentle pressure on any bitty mighty mo, then you are not it. So you are. Okay, so but my friend, what did you notice?
Well, in the equality picture,
I'm going to your Manna. Okay, go ahead and talk.
in the equality picture, all three boxes are the same, but the littlest one you still can't see. So.
But are you fair? Are you equal?
Well, I mean, they have equal boxes, but it's not fair.
There you go. Okay, so you have equal boxes, but it's not fair. I love that. So then, how could we make it more fair?
So in the next picture, they gave the littlest one the double extra boxes so that he would be able to see, because that was what was fair for him. Now, everybody can see. It's not that someone has an advantage they don't need.
Okay, so if we always give every single student the same exact thing, will it always help them learn or get what they need? Maybe not, right? So we have to self-assess and they have to self-assess. So when we give the students what they need, will it always look the same? Maybe not. And so that kind of goes back to what you were saying, and there's a question. We got a question. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Because I love this. I see, as adults, we can see this and appreciate this, and we can get there. But some kids are still going to that, but that's still not fair because it's not going to be a height thing, obviously, in the classroom.
And so how do they know?
Well, when we were talking about we can
That's a
do
rhetorical question.
things, right? we can do things behind the scenes that the kids won't notice that we're helping in some other ways. But when it comes to things like maybe a child can't physically sit still without having something to fidget with, but we have a rule where you can't have toys at your desk. The little Johnny over there gets to have his thing that he gets to fiddle with. So the kids, they won't see it as that, they'll see it as not fair.
Yeah.
So it's just that internal struggle.
An internal struggle, yeah.
We would have community circles in the class, and we
I'm sorry, am I
would,
walking here?
Okay.
and we would just have discussions about how people are different and people need different things. And, none of the children in my class had a wheelchair, so I was able to use that pretty freely. And, we talked about how some people have to use a wheelchair. That doesn't mean that, they're just getting to have fun riding around in a little chair, And we would just talk about examples like that frequently so that they got to understand sometimes people need different things. It's about what you need, not what you want. And I feel that it helped in my classroom.
And what grade level?
That was third.
And what grade level?
I'm going to fifth.
Fifth? Okay.
So,
that's a great
yeah, and I love
suggestion.
the classroom meetings, and that was something that we did at our school also on Wednesdays. We had 10 minutes, we would have class meetings. Something else I did, because this is like a real thing and kids talk about this all the time, showing them this picture, okay, and we can show you where to get this. Catherine actually created all this.
No, I didn't. It's a site. We use it all
But
the time.
you had it on
in
your,
kindergarten.
yes.
Okay, let me add it to my.
She's creating a whole bunch of websites for you guys to go on. But even showing the kids this and having conversations, in the past we have done something where we give each kid, like a minor injury. Like you have a broken bone, you have a scrape, you bumped your head over here, and you twisted your ankle. We're going to give everyone a Band-Aid. Did that help you? Well, if you broke your leg, a Band-Aid's not going to help you. Maybe the person that had a scratch, the Band-Aid helped them. So that's giving the same thing to people that need different things. So just kind of relating it back to the kids. And yes, they're going to say things, and it's going to happen, and just being clear and being open with them and being honest, not, okay, let's look at Jimmy's IEP in front of everyone. Please don't do that.
Illegal. Don't
Yes, yeah, we're not going to share IEP information, but just kind of be thinking about, making them aware that this is what we need to do for everyone. And sometimes, you're going to need something that you don't need, but sometimes it's going to be the opposite. So just letting them know that this is how our classroom works, and we respect everyone and we respect their differences. Yes?
We used to do the same class meetings and be opening about that stuff, but how do you avoid, if somebody gets extra time on a test because they didn't legitimately get that, how do you avoid a student being like, well, I need that too?
And each situation is different, and depending on the kids also and where you are, that would be a conversation I definitely wouldn't have in front of the whole group, singling students out, but maybe, just talking to that student, hey, if you need extra time for this, we're giving you this amount of time, so maybe we can focus, and maybe after 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you when we have another 10 minutes left, and I'll help keep you on track so that you don't need that extra time, and kind of diverting it, well, he gets 60 extra minutes, so you only get 20, and we're just going to have to make that work, and just kind of showing him that you care about that student, but maybe in a different way, not just allowing them to have that extra time, because we have students that need tests read to them, that need extra time, that get questions read to them, and that's the reality of our education system today. So just letting them know, hey, I hear your voice and I hear what you have to say, and I'm going to try to help you. However, just because you want that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, and try to, steer the conversation in a positive way. But, oh, why do you think you need extra time? Do you think maybe at the beginning, you're taking a long time to think about the questions? Are you working problems out too much? If it's math, what is the underlying cause kind of behind that?
And then when you're talking about, you're having them self-reflect. So, kids can say, I want this, I want that, all the time, all day long, all day strong. And then sometimes they're just saying it because little Johnny and Susie want to say it. But to have them do little self-reflection, like Lauren said, well, tell me, why do you think you need extra time? How would you best learn? And then talk to them about that after class, and then they're going to probably not be able to tell you a good answer. Go, well, just think about that, and then we'll revisit that later if you decide that you still need the extra time. But I would just need to know how I can best help you, and just let me know how I can do that. So if you need extra time, let's just
Right.
the why. It's all about the why, right?
Yep, and kind of put it back into their hands, because chances are they really don't need it.
Exactly.
They would like it because they want to spend another 60 minutes sitting over there while their classmates are doing work. So.
And a lot of times too, Lauren has said this. It's try it, and if it doesn't work, then
Change it, right?
then you'll change
Fail
it.
forward. We're all, that's how we learn, as
Hashtag
adults.
fail forward.
Yeah. So on that note, we're going to give you some time for reflection. If you notice, we're doing that a lot, which is super important. So we're going to give you time to reflect either on what this meant to you. We also talked a little bit about rules and procedures and the differences between them. So we're going to give you a minute to kind of reflect on those couple of items. And that's going to be on the top of page 8. Okay, so we're going to do a really cool, fun, exciting, engaging activity. And if anyone has ever heard of the researcher Hattie, has anyone heard of Hattie? Okay, so Hattie is a researcher, and one of the things that he had talked about in his studies was this strategy here called the jigsaw strategy. So the jigsaw strategy has been known to help kids retain information, stay focused, and really get the most of an activity learning from each other. So we're going to do a jigsaw activity together, and Catherine is going to hand out part of an article that's already chunked for you. Okay, we're going to be separating some groups because we have 6 different chunks of articles. Your job is to read the article with a partner. We have one group of 3 up here. We're going to give you some chart paper. You're going to be either writing down or drawing pictures of to-dos and not to-dos based on classroom management pieces. So you're going to draw examples of what this should look like, or writing we're going to give you your choice, whether you want to use words or pictures, and then examples of what that strategy does not look like. Okay, at the end, we're going to come together and share out. And this strategy is on page 8 with directions in case you want to go back and use this with your students. So we're going to come around with some poster board paper, chart paper. You do have markers in your groups. Feel free to move around. We have empty desks. We have counter space. So be comfortable. Read the article with your partner, and then we'll have you create your poster. Thank you. Here. I'll put yours here on the side here. Thank you. Here we go. Oh. I'm going to put yours right here. Thank you, ma'am. 3 more. I'm going to put yours right here for you guys. Sure. Our behavior specialist to come and pick you up. So, what are you thinking? Or I'm going to come back to see you in 6 minutes. When I come back, I want to see 3 lines of work on your paper. Or, like you said, walking away if it's something that maybe that child just needs to cool off and they need to be in the back of the room. It's not something that's affecting other students' safety, or an issue where it's dismissal and they're not wanting to leave and they're going to miss their bus. Then obviously you don't leave them in the classroom. But thinking of those. So do your best to kind of express. It can be a word, it can be a stick person, it can be fairly simple, but just kind of express some of those things that we talked about. Does that help a little bit? Okay. Sure. We good? Okay. It sounds like a fire station there. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to have you guys do right now, if we could turn to page 8. At the bottom of page 8, you will see where it says behavior management. So part of the jigsaw process is having all students involved at some point. Because if we think about even ourselves as adults, if we're not presenting, are we always paying attention? No. Okay, especially with our students. So we're going to make sure that for our purposes today, we are writing down the 6 components of behavior management to make sure that we are actively engaged and listening. So this would be something you'd want your students to do, to write down some main ideas, some thoughts, so that they're actively engaged in the process. Because we know if they're not physically up there presenting and they don't have anything to do in their seats, they're probably not going to pay attention. So this is our way of kind of showing you, that we all need to be engaged and active listeners. Okay, so our first group, is that you guys? Would you guys mind sharing your poster and telling us the title too? So this is what you're going to write down for number 1.
Well, Bonnie did our drawing. So we had tone, volume, and posture, and we were talking about, you don't really want to correct a student very loudly and erratically in front of everyone, because often that just creates shame and shutdown. So that's kind of a careless, intimidating tone, and it also creates embarrassment. So we were talking about, I think I learned this with Teach Like a Champion, but we were talking about private praise and private correction. So it's almost like when you're talking to a student and you do that routine consistently where you talk to students privately, the students in the class really don't even know what you're discussing. So it may not even be known that it's a correction versus something positive.
Great.
But doing it calm and caring, but also being serious and firm, and explaining the why behind it. So we showed kind of down by the desk and doing that in a more quiet and caring manner.
Great. Thank you. You can just find a place, even if it's on the side over there, anywhere would be fine. Thank you. Okay, number 2. Is that you guys? Okay.
So we had a
together, and, you know, maybe they get up on a tangent and they're talking about something or doing something that they shouldn't do, and the teacher's in the background, kind of observing, but just kind of set their name to get in the background. They didn't know, without even saying what they were doing, they know that, okay, she's watching.
Great. Thank you. Awesome. So that was number 2, avoiding standoffs in your packet. Okay, number 3.
So for, Okay, so for number 3, we have, and I love this because I never thought about it this way. Look for the subtext. So when a child is behaving in a way that is either volatile or confrontational or even dismissive, think about the deeper message. So what is really happening here? And then don't be reactionary to misbehavior. So if you see the child behaving in a way, what is this child trying to say? What is the deeper meaning? What do they really need? And then go from there. But they said, imagine, so you see the kid misbehaving and yelling and whatever, but instead of looking, paying attention to that, think about what subtitle would be underneath or in front of them. What is this person really trying to say? And I thought, I don't know, light bulb went off for me, so I liked it.
Yeah, something we don't always think about. Great job.
Yours is okay. Yours is behind the block.
Thank you. Okay, our 4th one. They have a mind of their own sometimes.
Talk about sticky info.
Right?
Alright, so ours is the gentle press, number 4. And so basically in this, it was trying to give us a way in order to get students back on topic. So there's 2 like really nice ways that you can do that. So in our scenario, there was a child that was like sleeping, had his head down on the desk. And so one of the reactions that we don't really want to see is necessarily just being like, no sleeping in class, like get up, let's go. That's okay, but it was like, it's not quite showing that like you care or that like you're like invested in this person. And so the better response is to get them back on track in the academics or to create a behavior like where you're trying to create a relationship building experience would be to like, hey, could you like, I know you're like, it's okay to be tired, like, but you need to get back up and like work on what we're doing right now. And so that's one of the appropriate responses. And then the other one is if like you do the gentle press of being like, hey, like you need to come back and it's still not really working, you basically like take them aside and you ask them what's going on and to try and build that relationship.
Great,
And
thank
stress
you.
on the importance of like during this interaction you end up finding out things that maybe you didn't know and now you know that. Because in this scenario it ended up being that the kid's brother had been deployed the night before. So she automatically knew, oh, this kid's not gonna learn today and that's okay. So it's kind of like to stress that importance as well.
Awesome. Thank you guys. If you could just find a spot to hang it up so we can display your fabulous work. Thank you. Okay, so now we're on number 5 on our list.
We had number 5, and it was choice, timeline, or walk away. So the first one we said was to follow directions or face the consequence. So, you know, like you would direct them and say, like, you know, like, hey, if you don't do this, then this will happen. And then we also set like a time frame. So you have 3 minutes to accomplish a task. And then the next one would be the teacher would let the student have time to reflect on like their actions. And
Great.
or whatnot. You want to say?
Awesome. Thank you guys. Great job. And our final one, so it'll be number 6.
Yes, we had visual cues. So we had like the 2 scenarios. We have the top teacher who's just blah, 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 blah. And all the kids are sleeping, thinking about something else and not engaged at all. And then you have the bottom scenario where she has on the board visual cues and she's, you know, verbally telling them what they're supposed to be doing, but they also have those up there as a reminder and a visual.
Great.
Those kids are learning 16,000 times.
Yes. Thank you. You guys did awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was awesome.
She has hashtags.
Love
There were
it.
something. So there's like hashtag lost in sauce, hashtag law, hashtag overload, hashtag Python.
That is awesome. Love it, love it. Yes.
Very good.
So just some takeaways here. Something to kind of keep in mind. If a student says something that's incorrect, you need to stop that immediately and clear up those misconceptions if you're doing this in class. Otherwise, that student or that group just taught 25 students, the wrong thing. So if you happen to see something, so not just to like, oh, they're presenting, I'm gonna go, sit back over here, but actively listening. So if they do say something that doesn't make sense, you kind of stop, clear up that misconception, and move on. This is a great way to chunk information. They're learning from their peers, providing voice. We didn't tell you, hey, you have to draw 3 stick figures or use only words or use only symbols. We kind of gave you that option to do what you wanted. Can anyone think of a way that you could use the jigsaw strategy in your classrooms?
Honestly, so many different ways.
Yeah.
Science, if I were to have a chapter in science about plants, then she could learn about the reproductive system of plants, I could read about the root system, she could read this and that, and then we come back together and teach each other about the different.
And that
Absolutely.
actually answers one of the questions that we saw. How do you make reading more engaging for students, especially with science text? It can be heavy in the vocabulary and such. So.
Absolutely. Anybody else, any thoughts on how you can use this with your kiddos? Oh, yes.
You could use it in history for like different time periods. Each one could do it, and then they could see how they led into one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Any math teachers here? No? I was a math teacher. I thought of, a way to use the jigsaw with my kids would be to just give them a problem, some type of word problem, have them solve it in different ways, and then come back and share it with each other. Have your kids become experts at something, makes them feel good about themselves, especially those kids that don't always feel good about themselves. So even acting out a skit, depending on what you're doing, creating these little skits or songs or raps or poems, you can change it up. So just keeping it real, keeping it fun. And I like how Catherine, referred to some of these. So we were looking at your questions as we're talking about these, and hopefully some of these things you can use that will answer, some of these questions, especially that engagement piece. A classroom management class could go on literally for a week. We only have our 3-hour period here, so we're trying to show you as much as we can to help, answer some of these questions.
Yeah, definitely. And some of them, like you said, as we were walking around discussing this, and I don't want to speak for you, but she said it, she gets credit. But she's like, you know what? She goes, Catherine, you're going to get a lot of this tomorrow too, which, because you're going to be looking at your content areas tomorrow and kind of breaking things down. So if Lauren and I aren't able to answer all of these questions today, and we're trying to infuse them, like she said, you're going to probably get it tomorrow. So have no fear.
Yes, yes. Okay,